All right, guys. So today we're here to talk about opportunities for Brazilians in the Netherlands. And first, I want to hear from you
Yes.
guys where this initiative came from to get together to, you know, hunt these specialists and connect them to these opportunities.
Hi. Yeah, just a quick intro. My name is Arthur Bezerra, Bezerra, and I am originally from Brazil. Was born and raised in Brasilia, and I left in 2005 to go to Canada to work for a company in tech there. Fast forward, I guess, almost 20 years. I spent 15 years in Canada, and I've been in the Netherlands now for 5. I work across multiple industries, but always in tech. But the thing that I always had in my head, and every trip that I took back to Brazil to visit family and friends, was why is it that there's not a stronger connection between these companies abroad and the great talent that we have in Brazil? And when I moved there in 2005, Brazilians didn't have such a strong reputation as they have today as amazing developers. Um, but now that's the case, and over the years, this has improved quite a bit. And I've always I've thought about this. But then I met Jesper Theijsmeijer, and yeah, it's Jesper. The J sounds like an I, as you
Yeah.
said. Good
Now it
luck with the Dutch. um, and as I say, he's a Dutch with a Brazilian soul. And we connected right away, and we talked about ideas, the work that he's currently doing, the work that I do, and it kind of connected really well with where we were at this point, and that's what we're doing. We're starting to look at how we can bridge that gap in a way that is not such a huge undertaking of asking someone to just pack their bags and go somewhere, but making a connection so people in Brazil can start working for companies abroad and get the experience of working for an international company um, as they grow in their career. Jesper, you have anything to add?
Um, Now, yeah, I can of course give a brief introduction about myself. I'm working in IT since 12 or 13 years ago. I worked as a software quality assurance, software tester, QA engineer, and later as a Scrum Master and Agile coach. I still do that sometimes in a consultancy way for some companies part time. But I have now for almost 7 years a recruitment agency. I'm recruiting freelance and permanent IT, but also Scrum Master, product owner, people for my clients. Um, I'm now for 10 years together with my wife, who is Brazilian. We have 2 children, and there's quite a big Brazilian community, and so yeah, you get to know each other, and that's basically how I got to know Arthur indeed. So yeah, clicked straight away, and we got to like Arthur said, got to talk ideas, and that's how it all started.
cool. So you're married to a Brazilian woman, so that
I think
explains some of your Brazilian soul. Makes sense. And I thought you told me once that companies in the Netherlands have been developing some sort of preference for Brazilian developers. Is that the case? Is that true? Like, and why is that the case?
I think that I would say that the preference is not necessarily to Brazilians, but it's to the archetype of a Brazilian developer, which is I think that in general, when you think about hiring developers from either near shore or offshore within Europe, you have very distinct type of culture that you can hire from. And I think that the culture that's near shoring, so let's say 1 or 2 hours time zone away from Central Europe, you're going to find more of the execution type developer, as in you give the developer a task, the developer will take that task and execute on it and be done with it. Like no questions asked. Really, you asked me to make this button blue, I'm going to make this button blue and be done with it, right? Where I think that Brazilians in general, and this is honestly, I think that a big aspect of my career development has been because we think outside of the box. And so if someone comes and says, hey, you asked me to, you want me to make this button blue, but the actual background of the page is also blue. So if we make this button blue, the button is going to disappear effectively on the page. And very very simplistic example. A more practical one. I was talking to someone here that wanted to do a brainstorming with their engineering team about the product itself. So product X, we understand who the customer is. And they basically had the same task given to 2 groups. To one group that is more, again, of the getting things off their list, right? Like just executing on it, versus someone that is really thinking outside of the box. And they said that the results were very different, where, again, one team spent the whole day and then come out with any new ideas for the product as far as features go. And the other group really thinking about a completely new way of developing this product and adding functionality to it, really putting themselves on the customer's shoes. And I think that, Brazilians in general, we're very inquisitive. We're also very, we go through a lot of adversity, right? As we grow up in Brazil, things are not easy in many aspects, and I think that this puts us at an advantage for thinking outside of the box and seeing patterns. I think more easily than some other cultures that didn't have that as we did.
That's very nice. And what are the next steps? I think this is a new company, right? That you guys are beginning. I don't think even there's a name yet. So what are the next steps for the company?
So what Jesper and I are doing, and to be very clear, I think Jesper is the contact person from he's doing the business development, right? Like he speaks Dutch. Ik spreek een beetje Nederlands, maar het is niet goed. Dan
I agree.
Jesper. And because of my tech background and Brazilian background, my Portuguese is quite good, and it's for us to really create this connection between the companies here and people that are interested in working for these companies, creating a bridge that is and again, I think that the work that I can definitely say that the difference, I think, from when I started thinking about this and now, a big catalyst is Giga, and I was quite happy to see that there's a program like this. I don't know if Denar is quite. I don't know if he's on the call or not, but
Looking for him, I don't think he is.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But he's the one that made the connection between me and Gustavo, and I think that this is a great initiative. This is a great way to actually build a good pipeline of creating this access, right? So the next steps, Jesper and I are actively on the hunt for both positions and people. As you would expect, the positions that are the highest priority are the hardest ones to find people for. We talked about a few tech specs with Gustavo, and he has access to the talent pool that exists within Giga, and we've been exchanging some ideas on how we can tackle this. But I think within the next few weeks, we'll have some of these positions landing in a spot where we can actually start talking to people. And again, the goal is simple. We'll post the positions. We'll talk to people that are interested in participating. We can promise that we're going to give very clear feedback in the process as well. So you can expect to learn about yourself and the level that you're in as part of this process as well. That being in again multiple factors. And again, if you're comfortable with it as well, we can also share with your mentor within the Giga group, so you can work together on these specific items that we work on. And you can expect things coming out. We'll continue working through Gustavo for the positions and the tech stack. So you should start seeing some things popping up as we start landing some of these positions there as time goes by.
Very good. Guys, I have a few more questions here. If you want to start raising your hands so we can start a list of questions to ask them, just go on to like the options here below and look for the raise my hand option. What are the stacks? What kind of position do you believe has the most demand in the Netherlands right now?
I think we're seeing a combination. One thing that's been surprising to me within the Netherlands is how strong PHP is here. As a tech enthusiast and knowing a lot about the Canadian and some of the Brazilian market for people I know, I was quite surprised. There's a lot of the Netherlands is what was the stats that you gave me today? I think there's 1 million freelancers in the Netherlands, and keep in mind this is a country with 18 million people, so it's a very large number of freelancers, and there's also a lot of entrepreneurs in the Netherlands, like a lot of people that you meet in the day-to-day that they start their own company and develop that, and PHP seems to be the choice for a lot of these smaller companies to get things off the ground quickly, and being able to honestly like pick up a book and go read about PHP and implement their initial idea, and obviously again until the company picks up and gets big, they'll continue going with PHP. This is the reason why Booking.com has a huge Perl backend still, because apparently there was a book on the shelf of one of the founders of Perl, and he's like, "Yeah, like I'm gonna start a travel website." And looked at the shelf, picked up the book, and started developing with the book that he had there. So it's PHP's been a surprise, but we really have a good combination of like we've seen C#, we've seen Rust and Go. We've seen on the front end, I think React is definitely a big winner. There's lots of companies that use React on the front end. There's also some, as you know, Gustavo, we've been hunting some unicorns as well with technology that is basically old school tech that's been embedded in some of the companies that are basically some middlewares, and so those are definitely harder to find. But there's definitely a demand for mainstream programming languages as well, and tech stacks. AWS is king, I think, when it comes to cloud computing. GCP not so much, and I think that the other thing that I practice on the companies that I work for, and a lot of companies do this, Oh, Rafael is in. I'm sorry, I saw the comment about Rafael. He's in Brasilia now, I think. Yeah, we're friends as well. We meet every once in a while when he's here. But going back to this, the being very autonomous is key. So you're going to be giving keys to the kingdom. So again, the companies that I hire developers for, you're going to have access to the AWS console. You're going to have access to GitHub. You're going to go and do your work as autonomously as possible. You're going to have support from people around you, but the ideal developer that companies look for is the one that will again pick up things and take them to production without necessarily having the need to request things from a lot of people. Obviously, there's process that needs to be in place and technology as well. But in general, autonomy is something that is given to you in the majority of companies here. So they expect you to take that autonomy and start delivering with it.
That is nice.
Yeah, I can add to that 9 out of 10 companies in the Netherlands, they work agile or Scrum or in a Kanban way. So you will be really into teams, not as sole developers. So that is the way of working. But to add to what Arthur said, I also see a lot of Angular, Kubernetes. There's a lot of interest in DevOps developers. So if you know anything about your CI/CD pipeline, Terraform, AWS, Azure Cloud, those stuff. Yeah, like you said, React, and of course, there's always a big demand for Java and .NET. That is almost standard, I would say.
Good to know. I saw a few happy heads here reacting to a few of these stacks. Andrea sent a question, Andrea Castro. How about opportunities in the data and ML scenario? What have you seen it's happening around?
I think data, there's a lot of demand for data scientists and folks that have expertise on using mainstream tools like Snowflake and the like. I think that demand exists for companies, for a lot of companies. On the ML side, I think where it becomes a little bit more niche. There's still, I think, a lot of opportunities. There's some, I think, reference companies in the Netherlands for ML specifically that also sponsor recommendation systems and ML related conferences here, like Booking.com and others. But I think the demand for data for ML specifically, I think, is a little bit more niche, and what you'll see is a lot of folks actually coming from also an academic background coming into these different areas. But there's definitely still some demand for that in some companies here.
Cool. Any other questions, guys? You can send your questions on the chat and also just show up and talk. So what is the time frame that we're looking at so we can start seeing those opportunities being showcased to us?
So I think that for some of these positions that we're looking at, and again, I think it's a combination of the priority of the positions that we have open that we could place today. There's some companies that are looking for more, again, as I said, niche developers in specific tech. But it's also, as everybody knows, not necessarily the greatest engineering market at this moment. I think that if everyone looks around in terms of opportunities, this is definitely a buyer's market, or this is definitely a market where there's less movement happening. There's there's either people that are in some companies that are not willing to move because they're afraid of jumping into uncertainty, and then there's also some people that are looking for new positions, and because people are not moving, you're not seeing dispositions opening up. That being said, this is a great opportunity for these kind of roles, especially if companies are not sure if if their roles are gonna be long term or short term. But Jesper and I are working the context that we have, and again, Jesper has made placements in some of these places before for agile coaches in other roles. But we're the goal is for us to start placing people into roles starting in January. Again, this is a goal that we're chasing. And so we should start seeing some positions coming up soon. If the goal is January, we need to start seeing some positions landing, and for us to start interviewing folks in the group as well.
Cool. Sounds like a realistic time frame.
Yeah, I can add to that, because I'm already doing quite some sales calls, and you notice that some companies really need somebody today. So that will be as an example today. But so we tend to be able to have vacancies online as soon as possible. And we have like also a client, for example, that wants to start in January with some developers in Golang, but we still need to sit with him at the end of the month to figure out the contracts and those stuff. So depending per, I try to speak to our clients long term, short term, so that we know that is what is coming up. But it could be like really short notice, and some things are maybe a little bit further away, depending on the time of the year, of course, and the budgets and. Yeah, but it can vary per client. I think that's important.
Interesting. Anderson, have a question for them?
Yeah. Hi guys. Morning or afternoon. Good afternoon. So I have a few questions. Do you do the interviews? It's you that do these interviews to connecting people to do the first selection?
Yeah. There's a process. We'll do the initial screening of the interview. Again, as I said before, you're gonna get feedback as you go along the process. But generally speaking, I think the majority of positions will be a screening interview, a manager interview, a tech interview, so either system design or co-pairing interview, and then a final stakeholder management interview as well. It's pretty standard on the majority of positions that we see here. And this way, again, by the end of the process, you're going to get feedback on all these different aspects on how you're doing when it comes to that.
Okay, you answered my other questions. All right. But that's it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Anderson.
Mr. Anderson. Yeah.
I watched the movie.
Yeah.
You did? Very good.
There's also
Joseph?
a question from Vito. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Please.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah. So Jose.
No, let's read this question by Peter first. So
Okay.
Peter just said, are these positions remote? How can I gain access to at least apply for these positions? Any specific site or LinkedIn is fine.
Yeah. So the positions are remote. Our ultimate goal is to create a an environment where you can start remote, and in the future, if it's interesting to you as a candidate and to the company, to make a bridge for you to go abroad and work in the Netherlands or elsewhere. But the positions, the initial value proposition is this: we'll supply with great developers that are going to work well with companies here in the Netherlands, and then for you to work again in great companies where you can learn as part of the process. As far as the positions go, again, we'll continue working with Gustavo. Everyone in the group here is part of the chats, right, for within the community.
No, not all of them are members.
Okay. Sorry, but yeah. So what we're doing is we're working together with Gustavo on initially placing these tech requirements with him, for him to tap the community. But the ultimate goal is for these positions to be posted on LinkedIn as well, so we can start sourcing. The reason why we want to prioritize this group is because we know that this group is going to be better prepared for these interviews that we talked about than the general population, right? Because again, if I reach out on LinkedIn and I start getting random applications or multiple applications, it'll be tough. It'll take us a lot of time to actually comb through those to get high quality candidates, both communication and technical, where we know that within the group, Gustavo and the rest of the group is really like helping each other on being prepared for those interviews before they actually happen.
Very good comment. Yeah, guys, we for non-members here, we have daily conversations in technical English that prepare you guys for those screening processes and make sure they are completely confident to work for a company abroad. All right. And we are very selective about the people that get in as well. So they have to have the minimum requirement of technical skills and English level already, and then we refine them to get to the level of international standards. Jose?
Guys, afternoon for you. Is there an average of years experience that we're looking for?
Yes, man.
We were discussing who's going to answer. But so there's an average. I would say between 5 and 15 is maybe the average. Maybe a little bit a big spread, but everything below that is considered to be.
Do we have the connection problem?
It's not only Brazil.
Oh.
We have bad internet.
It froze for me.
Oh, yeah, okay. You can all hear me, right? Or no?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Now we can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, guys. Okay, but Arthur knows. But he knows what I'm gonna say. But so everything below 5 years is normally less common that we get requests for that. Sometimes a media between 3 and 5 years. Most of the times a senior, I would say between 5 and 10 years. And if you say like a lead engineer, somewhere between 10 and 20, to name it. But that is most common what we see.
Very good. Between 5 and 15 years makes sense. Another questions, guys?
Marcelo has his hands up.
Oh, Marcelo.
Oh, hello there. I want to know about mobile developers, the marketing in Netherlands. What kind of the mobile developers they are looking for if it is more a native developer or a hybrid developer with a Flutter? What kind of developer the marketing is looking for?
So I think that you're definitely going to find, you can think about this like for native developers, it's either a company where their competitive advantage exists within the app. So a small company that has a strong app, or a large company that is not necessarily like competitive advantage, but they want to invest in a more stable experience for the user. I think that the smaller companies that don't necessarily need a strong mobile app would opt for Flutter or even again like the encapsulating lots of web views within the application itself. But I think that the core app developer, meaning again, you can actually do both, right? Like you can either develop a core application within either iOS or Android, or again, if you're working in a company that wants to have a lighter touch and maybe do some web views, you're also well equipped to come in and do that kind of work as well, rather than necessarily target specific companies. Obviously, again, depending on the type of company you join, the work is definitely going to be different, right? I am curious a little bit in terms of where the question is coming from. Where you're working, the work that you do today as a app developer, is it the core app development, or is it mostly on the web view and lighter touch side?
Yeah, actually, I'm focusing in native iOS development, right? That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I think it's a really good skill to have, right? And most companies I worked for, revenue from iOS apps are generally higher than Android, and so I think it's a good, especially being a core developer as well on that. I think it's because again, you can do both sides of the coin as well.
Yeah, but it's like you said, the most of the biggest companies, they prefer to have two separate teams, right? And when we saw a small company with a small app, they prefer to go hybrid, so because the cost and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Like you'll see some companies where they're gonna have a team that's dedicated on building components for the other teams to use within iOS or Android. But yeah, I think it's really, and this is something that I guess this is not news anywhere, right? In Brazil or here, that companies will really look at numbers when it comes to investing in engineering, right? They'll be like, yeah, we could do a core app, but how much is this going to cost us, and how much? I remember being in a presentation once in Brazil, and one of the managers, I won't mention the company name, in a big town hall with everyone, he said, "You know what is the biggest asset of this company?" And like everyone's like, "What's going on?" And then he showed a picture of the building, like that everyone worked in, and said, "This is the biggest asset that the company has." I remember being shocked there. I think if I see that today, I'll take the joke a little bit better. But all jokes aside, companies will look and again, as a leader in the engineering space, people will talk about numbers, right? And how they want to apply that. So good question. So
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Jose has another question.
Yes, because we are talking about some kinds of companies. Look, near Cuiabá, Mato Grosso, there are a lot of companies that are looking for some people that can connect industrial equipments to web platforms. There is any opportunity to do this kind of services in Netherlands?
We're talking to a company that I mean, we're still in early conversations with them, but there's actually a lot. Like the one thing that I can say about the Dutch people is that these guys are like masters of like logistics, and if you look at how they're moving cargo. Like if you go to the Rotterdam port and so they're not. They're a very strong economy, but not only a digital economy. They're actually moving goods, and they're trading goods, and they're exporting and importing, and all of this results in a physical world being part of the economy. So we actually talked to a potential client of ours that has thousands of containers spread around the globe, and currently the way
4 million.
they're managing, how many? 4 million? Wow. Okay. It's a lot of containers, and the way they're currently managing is really, again, is old school, right? There's someone that goes and checks, and all of this can be integrated and brought into the digital world, right, where these checks can be done automatically using IoT or some other type. I think that there's a huge like gap, I think, between because the thing is, these companies, they are making money. It's not that they're big companies with great profits, but they're still operating in this way. So the opportunity to actually improve this by reducing costs on their end would be great. So yes.
That's nice. Thank you so much.
Right. Here we have some people that already work for international companies. We have Gustavo Soares, we have Marcos Costa, Andrea Castro. If you guys have any comments or questions about, the differences between these markets, maybe that could be an interesting discussion. For example, a difference that I already noticed that you mentioned, Artur, is like the pace at which things happen, right? It's like not very common for things to be urgent.
Yeah, I spent 15 years in Canada, and then I've been in the Netherlands for 5 years now, and I can say that I think that there's definitely a difference in planning and speed of delivery between both sides. And I'll honestly say that I think that you can learn from both, right? Because I think that obviously planning results in better results, and having a good strategy and actually thinking about things properly before executing. At the same time, I think that delivery trumps a lot of the problems along the way. You learn faster, you get buy-in faster, you show what. But I think it's important to strike a balance between the two, and this is, I think, what my superpower is actually being able to still focus on planning and delivering the right thing, but never forgetting about the importance of delivery and showing results every sprint, every quarter, and actually continuing the buy-in process of the leadership within the company. Because again, you can come up with a great plan. If you don't deliver things quickly, things change all the time, right? And so I think that this is a big difference between, for me at least, between working in North America versus working here in Canada versus working here in the Netherlands. The folks that we have that work abroad, where are you guys located?
We got a few places here. We got Dublin, USA. Yeah, a few people USA. I think the only
But I
one
think
outside of
it's,
USA is Leonardo Cidral, right?
Yeah.
Who works
but I
for
think it's
Dublin,
very
right?
very good to know in Portugal, I see as well.
Mhm.
But I think it's very important to know is that in the Dutch culture, they are very direct. Yeah? So Arthur mentioned already, like they give, they're very straight to the point and give a lot of feedback. And some people can really sometimes feel, how do you say that? They push back a bit, but it's never to make you look back. Just like, oh, I don't think this is gonna work what you're building, and we should do this and this. And for some people that is very open and direct, but then at least you do you change for the better, and in that way you get quicker results. So that is something that you have to get used to when you're in the working for Dutch companies.
That's good to know, because in our culture we tend to be around the bush a lot. Like, hey, I don't know, like, if you're doing the right thing, do you believe that maybe you could do it differently? Like, we tend to ask
No.
questions and like be not very direct about the feedback. So it's refreshing to know that you can count on being direct.
And for me personally as well, I think nowadays I suffer a lot for this issue. I've been working with Americans for a long time, and they also go straight to the point. So whenever I have to talk to someone that's a friend of mine and they want to tell me something, and they spend like 2 hours going around, like, come on, man, I'm not gonna be mad at you. You can just say the thing.
Yeah. We got 2 people asking to ask questions here. Anderson again.
So, quickly, just about the previous subject, but is it correct that to say that web developers have more opportunities than mobile developers in the Netherlands?
I would say so, yeah.
Oh, great.
Not that there's nothing, but web developers for sure is more request.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great.
Awesome. Gustavo?
Jesper, I hope you were saying that is the inverse, No problem at all. So guys, nice to meet you. I was curious about some open positions that I saw for Europe, and looking and I saw one common pattern on most of the open positions, and see like most of those companies are looking for are looking for hybrid positions, like you need to go to the office some days and not fully remote. This is common from Europe companies, because most of the open positions that I saw are requiring that.
Yeah, I think that as everyone has seen lately in the market, there's as quickly as remote work become the #1 cool thing that any company can do, now it's the worst thing that any company can do. You can see Amazon demanding 5 days in the office and other companies following suit. But the reality is that the remote and hybrid work are here to stay. I don't think in the future we're going to see people coming to the office. The joke that I make is that what is Amazon gonna do next? Right? They're gonna ask people to come 6 days a week to the office. There's nothing else left from that point. But there's also the specific demand, and for these kind of roles that we're looking for, which is it's really staff augmentation. And I think maybe we should cover this a little bit. The idea is that you would be joining an existing team, then that team might be remote, but that team might actually meet in person 2 days a week or 5 days a week in their office. But you will join, you're going to, again, be part of their stand-ups. As Jesper said, majority of people work on an agile way a lot of companies work in agile way in the Netherlands. And so you'll be an integral part of the team, but you'll be working obviously in different hours than the teams the people that are here. And so I think that even though there's more demand for either hybrid or in-person or in-office positions, there's still demand for developers that can work remotely and that can, again, bring a new type of expertise to the team. If again one of these positions migrates in the future to in-person, so we would look into the relocation part of it. But the main goal is, again, fully remote positions for companies in the Netherlands, and for developers to be working for these companies as staff augmentation from Brazil.
I see. Because for example, here on Walmart, most of the full-time employees they need to live near to the office, And as you said, for example, I am a staff augmented engineer as part of their teams. And I am the only Brazilian in our team that work fully remote, and it's not a requirement for them,
Yeah.
at least for the time being. But most of the time they are saying like, oh, when you were coming to Bentonville or when you were coming to California. But
Yeah.
the only difference that I saw between those kind of markets, it's that, because I have a friend which is a technical leader on Adidas, and he just mentioned that he had to go to Netherlands, like he needs to be in present because I think he's a staff software engineer from the Adidas app. I'm not sure which app he's the staff engineer, but he just mentioned the same, like the only difference that he saw between the USA market and the Europe market is that, you had to be in present, instead of fully remote. But let's see
Yeah.
how the market goes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Gus. Marcel has a comment here. I just want to expand on this because, like, Arthur mentioned once to me about moving abroad to the Netherlands, right? And even though, like, working remote sounds the most interesting to begin with, it could make sense for some of these devs to move, right, to the Netherlands at one point with their families and everything. How does that work?
Yeah, I think that having experience living in Brazil until my early 20s, 15 years in Canada, and then now 5 years here, I realized that all these different places have. I was lucky enough to be in the right place during the right, let's say, age gap. Like growing up in Brazil was amazing, right? As I said, I think it really makes us different beasts compared to because of the adversities that we grow up with. Canada was great because, as I said, like it was very fast paced, and but now I have 2 kids. I have a 4-year-old boy, a 7-year-old girl, and
No, they froze.
I think some kind of internet issue.
the crazy commutes that we have in
So can you
North
go back
America
a
or
bit because it
Brazil.
froze for a second?
Oh, sure.
You mentioned your 4-year-old and your 7-year-old, and then
Yeah, and so all of that to say that again, Netherlands is a great place in this phase that I'm currently going through, like having kids, and me and my wife, we cycle around. Like we don't have a car, we take the kids with our bikes. It's honestly, to me, yes, it rains a lot, but it's nothing compared to, again, some of the things that some other troubles in life. And it's great, and I think it's a very again, very direct culture, as Jesper said. So expect this on your work day every day. Colleagues are going to look at your work and say, yeah, like, and
how do you smell
hey,
so
I
bad?
think that yeah. There's none of the this looks great, but I think no, it's going to be like, hey, you shouldn't have used this pattern for this. You should have used that pattern because of A, B, and C. And it's really important for you to not take it personally, because the goal is simple: is for you to get the best solution out the door. And so get the ego out of the way, and get things solved. And so coming to the Netherlands is obviously it's a more complicated process than working remotely. Working remotely is simple, but we do want to open this in the future for folks and companies that think they're a match, right? Hey, I've been working with company X for a year, for 2 years. They really want me to come, live in the Netherlands, come to the office 2 days a week or 5 days a week, depending on the company. How can that work? And we would then step in and work on that transition of applying for visa, like working with the relocation, and so on and so forth, right? And again, if you want to continue working remotely, that's fine as well. But we want to open this bridge as well in the future.
That is cool for you guys out there with kids, and it must be nice to grow up in the Netherlands.
Yeah, I'm very jealous of my kids. They have a great life, a great childhood.
Wow, I can imagine.
Yeah, nice to
Marcelo?
know. Nice to know.
Marcelo,
I-
ready? Yep.
Okay, sure. Yeah. For Arthur again about markets. You mentioned back a little bit about PHP, right? And that PHP is very popular in the Netherlands. And for me, PHP sounds, when you talk about PHP, it sounds a little bit older, because the hype here in Brazil, it's do everything with JS and Node.js, right? And it's like Portugal. Portugal PHP is very hyped because I think the less mature markets is they prefer to use PHP. And my question is, how mature do you think? How mature do you think?
How mature you mean?
How mature? Yes. How mature the market is in the web development? Because PHP sounds a little bit older for me, and I want to know about your opinion about that.
I think that there's not a lot of vanity decision making when it comes to tech, right? I remember when Elixir and Phoenix came out, and everyone was like, yeah, WhatsApp was built and sold on it, and a lot of people try to pick up. And this is something I learned as well as a manager, right, as a leader within the tech space, is that the way you choose tech is yes, you look at the pros and cons of the different options that you have, but there's other questions that are more, like, sometimes even more important than that, which is, am I going to be able to hire developers to work on this in this market, or who am I going to be competing with if I go for the top of the stack? Do I have the budget to actually pay the same salaries as the other company that is using that technology? And am I going to compete in the right space? So I think that, and there's also something I learned, which is a company is built to make money, right? No surprise here. And I think that some of these decisions are not made from an engineering centric perspective, right? And more from a business perspective. Like if we start with PHP, how many years can we go with PHP before it becomes a problem? Oh yeah, we can go at the scale we're going, you can go 5-10 years. Or no, we can only go a couple of years. So let's leapfrog now and jump into maybe another tech that's going to scale differently. So I think that's where the maturity is here, is really a combination of tech maturity, but also all the other aspects I discussed in terms of hiring people. I mean, look at what happened to Ruby on Rails, right? Again, also great framework, moves very quickly, very difficult, pretty much impossible to find developers on these days. So
yeah, that's why I'm asking, because the market here goes from PHP to JS, right? And for me, don't take me wrong, because I started coding with PHP since back in '98, and that's what I saw happens here in Brazil, and that's what happens with my career. So that's why I changed PHP for Swift, and in 2019, and that seems to me that the evolution of things, right, came from PHP, goes to JavaScript, and that, for me, that shows how things goes in the marketing, right? As you say, it's a matter of how if I can hiring people to code in PHP, but it's like here in Brazil that there's not too much PHP developers anymore. Everybody moves to JavaScript, and seems to me a movement to the technology
Yeah. I remember when I was graduating, when I was going to university, then I think the bank was trying to recruit all of us to go write COBOL for them, and they were sponsoring everything, right? Yeah, like we'll pay for the training. You can come and be a COBOL developer, and make tons of money, and kind of be set in the bank. But obviously, always also a personal preference, right? Of the tech I use at work, completely different than the tech I use at home. What I use at home is what I'm passionate about. So, but at work is again who I can hire developers for, the tech that's actually going to take the business where it needs to go.
Anderson has a strategy here. He said, we'll need to evangelize the React power in Netherlands. So do get hired from PHP, and then you start moving from within and changing
there
things.
You go.
That's the whole strategy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
We have two clients of mine for the recruitment part. They are bigger, small to for the Netherlands, small to a little bit bigger software companies, and they are really holding on tight to PHP. Not only PHP, but they basically PHP is their core and their core, and they add things to that. And I had Marcelo, I had exactly the same as you, because 15 years ago I also did the IT related education, and I also did PHP. And I thought it was really dead until like 1 or 2 years ago, and I heard it more and more. And it again is just one of the companies that do that, but it's really not that all companies are doing PHP, not at all.
Cool. All right, guys. So let's start wrapping up. I've already sent Arthur's and Jesper's LinkedIn's here on the chat. I can send again just to make sure, so you guys can connect to them. For those of you guys that are not members yet, you can talk to me or to Eleni, who sent you the link in private on WhatsApp. And we'll be getting in touch with you, with the people that are going to the WhatsApp group to get the Zoom link. So you can start
I just wanted to Gustavo, one thing on the way out. So I would just want to emphasize, but I guess that you guys already know that, and that's why you're with Gustavo. But English is really important here. Don't try ever, not ever is not the word, but don't try to learn Dutch. Really, English is the way to go. Everybody speaks English in the Netherlands. Really, everybody speaks, from the butcher to the supermarket to everybody speaks English, and quite in a good level, the Netherlands. Not everyone, but like we really have a really high level of English, and that's also why it's really important. It's super international, especially in companies nowadays. They're people from all sorts of countries. Sometimes I know that English is even more important than the skills you have. So you can be like a super 20 years experienced whatever language developer, but if you do not have good communication, it's not easy for you to talk to the other people or for them to understand you. It's already it's not going to work. So really, English is super important, and that's also where I am. If I will be in an interview, really going to look for that. It's easy for me to understand because I know now the like TikTok, tiki-talkie, that is the accent from Brazilians. I know that, and so that's okay. But people that do not work with Brazilians, they're like, think you're saying different words or something. So it's really important to work on that English and that accent. So just keep going.
Yeah, we really take that into account, Jesper, because like for every meeting we do like technical conversations, but we also have an English review to review pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar every time. So just to make sure we keep refining.
Yeah. I also don't want to disencourage people. I just want to help you out.
Yep. Thanks a lot for the heads up. All right, guys, it's been amazing to be with you. What a great conversation we had today. Lots of insights. Hope we can see each other more often very soon. count on us. You know, we're partners now for good. And yeah, we actually have a little culture here. I don't know if you can get everyone into the call, into the same picture. Yeah, I think I can. We're just taking a picture to wrap up the call, and I have this little gesture that we do like this. So if you guys could do that, so you can take a picture to wrap up. 1, 2, 3, and yay! Very nice. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day. If you have any other questions, let me know, or you can send them directly to them on LinkedIn. All right. See ya.
Thank you, guys.
Obrigado, gente.
Thank you a todos.
Tchau.
Jesper.
Valeu, hein?
Have a great
Obrigado.
day.
You guys.
Valeu, valeu.
Vocês também. Tchau, tchau.